Before we begin, please subscribe and like this channel so you never miss a new true story. My brother called me the day I got out. 9 years. 9 years I spent in a federal penitentiary in Pennsylvania for a crime I didn't commit. A crime my younger brother Marcus committed when I was 34 years old and he was 26. I had a good job then, a wife, a house in Atlanta with a mortgage I was paying down steady. Marcus had nothing but anger and a .38 revolver he'd stolen from a pawn shop. When that convenience store on Boulevard got robbed and the owner got shot, the police came to our house. They found the gun in Marcus's closet. But Marcus told them I did it. He told them I came home that night bragging about easy money, that he found the gun in my truck. He lied so smoothly, so completely, that even my own wife started to doubt me when they arrested me at work. The trial lasted 6 weeks. Marcus never testified. He didn't have to. The state's case was thin, but my public defender was thinner. My wife, Sharon, sat in the gallery with her arms crossed every single day, and I could see it in her eyes. She believed the lies. By the time they handed down the sentence, she'd already stopped looking at me. 9 years later, she sent the divorce papers to the prison. No letter, no explanation, just papers and a signature. When I walked out through those gates on a Tuesday morning in March, the sun felt different than I remembered it. Sharper somehow. Brighter. I was 63 years old. My mother had passed 2 years before I got released. My father was in a nursing home in Jacksonville, his mind mostly gone. Marcus never visited me once. Not once in 9 years, but he'd done well for himself in that time. Real well. I took a Greyhound down to Atlanta. I had $300, a change of clothes, and the phone number of a halfway house that took ex-offenders. What I also had was clarity. 9 years gives you that. Clarity. You learn who you are when everything is taken away. You learn what matters, and you learn how to wait. I found work at a warehouse on the south side, loading trucks for $30 an hour. I rented a small apartment above a laundromat on Peachtree Street. I didn't go looking for Marcus. I didn't call the police to reopen my case. I didn't write angry letters to the parole board about my brother's perjury. I simply existed. I worked. I saved my money. And I listened. It's amazing what people tell you when they don't think you're listening. A man at the warehouse whose cousin worked in the courthouse told me that Marcus had gotten into real estate development. Big money, city contracts, the kind of deals that required permits and inspections and city council signatures. He told me Marcus had a wife now, a nice woman named Denise, and a daughter who was in college. He told me Marcus lived in Buckhead, in a 6-bedroom modern home with a smart system and a wine cellar. 3 years after I got out, I was having coffee at a cafe near the warehouse when I saw him. Marcus. He was heavier than I remembered, his face fuller, his hair cut close and dyed. He was with a white man in an expensive suit, both of them laughing, both of them holding phones, both of them looking at something on one of those phones with the kind of satisfaction that comes from money successfully stolen or earned without conscience. I didn't approach him. I sat in that cafe and I watched him leave, and I smiled. That's when I really started paying attention. I hired a private investigator. Cost me about $15,000, all the money I'd saved over 3 years of careful living and overtime shifts. I gave the investigator Marcus's name and the name of his real estate company, Dupree Development LLC. I told him I wanted to know everything, where the money came from, who his partners were, what deals he was doing with the city, if everything was above board. Turns out, not everything was. Marcus's company had won city contracts worth over $80 million over the past 6 years. Affordable housing developments, supposedly. Except the investigator found that the actual construction costs were only a fraction of what the city was paying. The difference, millions of dollars, was being siphoned into shell companies. And those shell companies were connected to 3 city council members and the brother of the mayor himself. It was a kickback scheme. Simple and elegant. Build cheap, bill expensive, split the difference with the politicians. Marcus had found a way to become rich by simply knowing the right criminals. I took everything the investigator found and I walked into the offices of the Federal Bureau of Investigation on a Thursday afternoon in June. I asked to speak to someone about fraud and corruption in Atlanta municipal government. They listened to me for 3 hours. I gave them the investigator's report. I gave them copies of the shell company documents. I gave them the names and addresses. And then I went home and I waited. It took 5 months. 5 months of undercover work and surveillance and warrants and interviews. But in November, they came for Marcus. I saw it on the news. Dupree Development LLC was being investigated for federal fraud. Marcus Dupree, age 40, was under arrest and facing charges that could carry up to 20 years in federal prison. His wife Denise was crying on the courthouse steps. His daughter was missing school. His 6-bedroom home in Buckhead was being seized as an asset of the conspiracy. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel vindicated. Not exactly. What I felt was something quieter, something like completion, like a circle closing. But there was one more thing I needed to do. I wrote a letter to the Federal Public Defender's Office. In that letter, I explained who I was and what I'd served time for. I explained that my brother had committed perjury to send me to prison for a crime he committed. I told them that if they needed a witness to his character and his history of dishonesty, I was available. I also filed a petition to reopen my case based on newly discovered evidence of perjury. It took 18 months, but a judge agreed. The conviction was overturned. The state didn't fight it. There was no compensation. That's not how it works. But there was justice of a kind. Marcus took a plea deal. 14 years. He'll be 75 when he gets out, if he gets out. I never confronted him. I never went to visit him in the holding cell. I never looked him in the eye across a courtroom. I didn't need to. He knows what happened. He knows I'm the reason he's in there now. He knows that the only person who could have known those details about his business, the only person who could have connected all those dots, was me. His own brother. The one he sent away to take his place. The one he left in prison alone for 9 years while he built his empire on lies. Justice isn't always about rage. Sometimes it's about patience. Sometimes it's about understanding that the people who wrong you often end up wrong enough on their own. They just need someone who cares enough to light the match. I'm 68 now. I work at the warehouse still, though I'm thinking about retiring next year. I have a small apartment, quiet and clean. I have a few friends. I visit my father in Jacksonville when I can, though he doesn't recognize me anymore. And every morning when I wake up, I know that I didn't become the man my brother tried to make me into. I didn't stay bent. I didn't stay broken. I came home from prison, and I came home whole. True story.